Welcome, readers, to another episode of the Bougie Book Pod. I'm Tara.
And I'm Kira.
And we are back after, what was it, a 2-3 week hiatus?
Something like that.
A little mini break. And we are back to discuss Fourth Wing.
Of course.
Dragons. I'm really excited to start talking about this series. I have to admit, I wanted nothing to do with it when I first started hearing about it, and it's mainly because of dragons. I was like, I don't really care about dragons. I wanted more, like, when I think of like fantasy series, I want more like fairies, magic, even though there's some, but I was like, I don't really care about dragons. But I have to tell you, within like a few pages, this really, really hooked me.
Yeah.
I really loved reading this book.
I agree.
And now that I have finished the third book, I am in a bit of a hangover.
No.
I am sad. I can't stop thinking about it. I don't know when the next book is coming and trying to fill the space with other books in the moment. But this book really, really surprised me. I really, really fell hard.
I was really hesitant because, one, I am that person that I feel like when things get like super hyped up, I almost like don't want to read it.
Yeah.
And then our old coworker who moved,
Brittany?
Yes. Remember she was trashing this last year?
She was? I don't remember. Brittany.
She was talking about...
I know she listens.
Yeah.
I know she does because I've seen somebody in Washington is listening. That's got to be her.
I think it was the writing or
we
something.
Love you, Brittany.
I don't remember what she said. I like vividly remember because her sister was reading it.
Uh-huh.
And so she was talking about how like I think it was the writing style was like really basic or something.
Oh, okay.
She didn't like it, and so I was like, I don't know.
Oh, how funny!
But her sister loved it, so
yeah.
Shout out to Ashley because Ashley also encouraged me to read it.
Yes, and I think I forget what we were talking about like months ago. There was in our group text I said something about like the squad or like our squad, and she was like, "Oh, it reminds me of Fourth Wing." But no, I was hesitant to start, and I again, like I said, it was mainly because I had no interest to read about dragons. Like, what the hell do I care about dragons? But apparently, I care a lot because it's not just about dragons. I think what really pulled me into the story, and we'll get into it, but it's like really more of the government stuff, all the secretive things, and of course, the romance.
Yeah, the politics of it are like got to a point where I was having to stop.
Yeah,
and like actually go to. There's like literally I think like Fourth Wing wiki, like all these fantasies have like, and I would have to go back and like be like, wait, what town was this? What was their involvement? How is this up? Like,
I have a friend and she sent me a picture. Her books are filled with those colored tabs. But she is, I don't know how many times she's read it, but she is like, if I have any question, I go to her.
Yeah.
Because she is really in deep on this book, and I love it.
I will say, you and I think, finished the third one around the same time. And granted, I read this Fourth Wing in the fall, and then Iron Flame and Onyx Storm back to back,
yeah.
In March, was it?
Yeah.
So I almost like I ended Onyx Storm and was like, okay, I think I need to go back to Fourth Wing already.
Oh, okay.
Like it was a very quick turnaround for me. I haven't, but I can see myself like this year probably having to go back to it.
I can see when the next book is finally like when they announce when it's coming out, I can see myself starting this again to kind of be fresh for it.
Oh yeah, and missing all the like just social media is like, oh, well, remember this line in the first book?
Yeah,
and I'm like,
no. You know, it's got me thinking, like, maybe I'm not as good a reader as I thought I was. I'm not a big fan. I don't know. I'm like, I am not that hardcore when it comes to making the tabs. But also, I think it's because I'm always like, I want to finish and I want to enjoy, but I also want to get to the next book.
Yeah.
I've got so many books that I want to devour.
Yeah.
So Fourth Wing is this super hot fantasy novel by Rebecca Yarros. I hope I said that right. It's the first in the Empyrean series. Again, if we mispronounce all of these names,
this one's going to be the worst, I think.
Probably. And actually, no, because I just started Throne of Glass.
I was going to say, actually, when we get to Throne of Glass, that will be the worst.
And I'm 125 pages in. And I am having such a hard time, one, with the names, 2 with keeping track of characters. 3, again, the names. So I think I'm gonna do okay with this one, but if it's butchered, I'm sorry, not sorry. It is what it is. So it's the first in the Empyrean series, and it features a deadly war college, kind of like Hogwarts on steroids. Yeah. There's dragon bonds, romance, a high stakes plot that absolutely leaves you wanting more and more and more. So I wrote, who knew that girls who grew up with Belle on library ladders would find themselves fully immersed into a world of dragons, death, and a plethora of names they'll never properly pronounce.
Exactly.
Yeah. I really was surprised about how much I really, really loved this book. I was thinking about this last night. I might like this more than ACOTAR.
I do. I can admit that.
And I was thinking about it last night, and I'm like, can I really admit that? I think I got more excited about this book than ACOTAR.
It's interesting because I feel like everyone starts their journey off with ACOTAR.
Yeah.
And like, it definitely holds the top spot for a while, but then this went towards the top for me. Throne of Glass in its own special way. It's just so much more complex and so much more like fantasy based. That was towards the top. So like when people do hype up ACOTAR, like I do love ACOTAR. It's a great series, but it's like there's a few ahead of it now.
Yeah, and I think with this book, there's so much mystery still. There's so much unraveling that still has to happen, and you're trying to figure out like where characters come from, where they're going, what's the actual evil and the bad. And so I love that constant juggling of not knowing exactly what's going to happen or what's what.
And compared to ACOTAR, I feel like the plot and the dynamic is, I mean, there's obviously little side things, but it's connected, where sometimes in ACOTAR, it's like, oh, good, we nipped that in the butt.
Yes, now we're moving on.
This popped up.
Yes, it's almost like we're moving on to a new episode or something. I don't know. But yeah, this feels more threaded and together. And I thought I was going to miss like the fairies and like the ethereal magic, but no, like there's so much in this. So I think we already talked about what drew us to the book initially. Do you want to just get into a little summary?
So we start off with, of course, she's 20 because
always
they're all 19 or 20.
I'm so sick of this, you guys. Somebody write a book about a 40-year-old something.
But we've got Violet Sorrengail, which I think is the only, I mean, there's a few names I feel pretty confident with, but hers definitely. And she decides to enter the Dragon Rider quadrant. So like you said, it's like Hogwarts on steroids. You've got the 4 quadrants: the scribes, the dragon riders, the healers. What's the 4th one?
They're like military people.
Yes.
They're not riders. They don't ride dragons.
Correct. And the interesting thing with Violet is she was raised as a scribe, basically. She is like, was going to be like top dog in scribe quadrant. Her dad was a scribe.
She's super, super smart.
But then her mom is a general. And her mom, interestingly enough, forces her into the Riders quadrant. So we meet her right away, and we learn that Violet's a delicate flower. She's described as a delicate flower.
Physically. Not mentally.
No, she is wrapped up. I've like always has wraps on for her joints. She's quite petite. Just described so delicately. And her older sister is a rider, but like her sister comes off not as delicate.
Yeah.
And way more not aggressive in a bad
but
way.
Just badass.
Like,
tough, strong.
Yeah, you meet her
savvy.
Exactly. And so basically, you either make it or you don't in the Dragon Riders. And like literally like the first step, you have to walk across the parapet. And it's either you get to the other side or you die. And that's like all of the milestones in their war college for the Riders. And it's
just accepted too that like a lot of people die before they even make it to school.
And that already like disturbed me. Like you're like 2 chapters in.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, hi, I'm so-and-so. And then whee! And you're just like, oh my God. Like, we're getting to it. But like, You go into it knowing Violet's got to make it. It still stresses you out.
It does.
But you know she's got to make it.
Just picturing it. And then she's also talking about how like it's windy and it starts to rain. Yeah. And I'm just imagining this tiny little, bridge, basically. I don't even know if they say how high up it is. I don't
remember.
But you don't even need to know how high it up is. You just know that if you fall, you die. There's no coming back from it.
And it's interesting because her sister makes sure she's wearing like a good pair of shoes. Mm-hmm. And Violet immediately, like in the stairs, makes a friend, looks at her shoes, and is like, "Those are trash. Take my left shoe. I'll keep my right shoe. We're gonna make it cross." Girl.
Yeah. Yeah, but immediately you get a picture into her character of what she's like. She's not, even though this is a brutal place, because they even talk about before they get started that sometimes cadets will kill each other to level the playing field. And so you already know she's not in that mindset. No. She's not going to be that person. Yeah. And when that happened in the beginning, I hope she's not making a mistake and, this girl's going to just kill her for the other boot. But it worked out in her favor.
It works out. It's Rhiannon and they both make it and it's great.
And they become BFFs.
But immediately before she even gets to even take her first step across, we meet Xaden, who is supposed to be like number one on the list of people ready to kill Violet.
Yeah.
Because his father led a rebellion, as they state it. And so Violet's mother had the job, I guess, of executing his father. And it also has to do with there's like Violet's brother is dead and he was involved in all of this. So like there's just
somebody in his rebellion group killed Violet's brother.
There's bad blood from the start.
Yeah.
And basically Xaden is, he was born to be a dragon rider, like with his physique and everything. But he and the other marked ones.
Yes.
That are children of the rebellions were forced into this quadrant. That was part of the deal. So anyway, you meet him right off the bat, and I was like, okay, she's got one bad shoe, one good shoe. This guy's ready to throw her off the parapet. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden comes this other guy who's trying to be a dragon rider, and he's like ready to plow her down on the parapet, named Jack Barlow.
Immediately you hate Jack Barlow. There's something about Xaden,
you're intrigued.
You're intrigued because the way she describes him when you first see him, he's just this mysterious dude. You know where this is going. Yeah. But the immediate description of Jack Barlow, you were like, I don't like this MFer. Yeah. Like, we need to do something about him.
He's like the most stereotypical. I was picturing like a 90s bully from the movies.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I like the hair. Like is he blonde?
I don't know. Blonde.
I was thinking like a blonde, preppy, like just douchebag.
Okay, even like from Home Alone.
Yes.
Doesn't he remind you of
like Buzz?
Buzz.
Yes.
Like that's what I'm picturing.
Yes.
I feel like all the 90s bullies were like that.
Yeah, they were. Totally.
Jack for you, but
totally.
I don't know why. That's like what I had in my head. I'm glad you did too, because that's what I had. So anywho, fast forward just to set the scene. Mm-hmm. She makes it across. Jack is still ready to like chuck her off for no apparent reason. I don't really know why he's so pissed at her. Mm-hmm. And then we meet Dane, and you're like, oh my god, this is great. Violet has a childhood friend. They've been so close, and someone's gonna watch out for her. And he's like, what the hell are you doing here?
Yeah, he is not happy.
Not happy. There. Immediately he's like, go to the scribe quadrant. Mm-hmm. And for like months is trying to find ways to get her out of it.
Yeah. But he's doing it because he's afraid for her. He knows that, they grew up together. He knows how fragile her body is. And he just doesn't want her hurt. And that he's also a rule follower to the T. And so like he will recite certain laws and codex and the rules that they have. And it's basically like you're not allowed to help people in certain instances. And so he's like a squad leader.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I can't do special favors, but I'm going to want to do special favors, but I can't for you. Yeah. So it's like, so just drop out, get out.
Yeah, because he's a second year, so he's got some experience. But he'll literally be like, according to the codex. You're just like, oh my god.
But also, you bringing that up, what I loved about this book is that the way Violet calms herself down is she also recites not just the codex, but like history books. And so I thought it was a really clever way by Rebecca Yarros to give us background information on their world, on how things work. In like not a boring way or like, okay, now we got to go through all the background. No, it was just like it was thrown in there in these little bits and pieces as she's trying to calm her brain and settle her mind, but I'm learning all about their world. I really, really thought that was cool.
And I did in the beginning, I thought at the beginning of each chapter where it had the little, either like a quote from someone else something that happened, the codex, something. I thought that was kind of irrelevant. And then I started to like, it's like super helpful.
Yeah, it is. And so like first chapter 1, a dragon without its rider is a tragedy. A rider without their dragon is dead.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh crap, like this is where it's going.
Which is literal.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
You will die. So yeah, those were pretty cool, and I like the way that she just kind of weaved in all this background information for you, so you're not totally lost.
Yeah,
because it is overwhelming.
It's a lot, even when they're just training. Like there's a lot going on. There's a lot of rules when they're training on the mat, what they can or cannot do, who can interfere, like all of this stuff, and which brings me to the mat. I just think is really interesting and I want to touch on is because Violet has so many gifts and the knowledge outside, and she is smaller and struggles a bit, and so she's able to figure out her brother. There's also like this handbook that her brother wrote for the sister that she has, and like she figures out who her opponent's going to be every week, and she goes in and like gets cafeteria duty on purpose so she can like literally poison all of her. Now here's my thing. Who did not pick up on that?
Yeah.
You've got to pick up on like, oh, her first one, like, I don't know the order, but it's like, oh, one like started vomiting everywhere. One almost like choked to death from a reaction. And I'm just like, two would bring up suspicious red flags.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it turns out Xaden figured it out.
Yeah, Xaden, of course.
But he was letting it go for a while. But an interesting thing about the manual of her brother, it was kind of almost not illegal, but she wasn't supposed to have it because the rule is that when someone dies, you burn everything of theirs, like leave nothing of them behind, which I thought was a strange.
I feel like a lot, and I guess maybe it's not their possessions. There's so many fantasy books, you like burn them.
Well, that is an old tradition of like, you burn the bodies, you bring them to ash so that they're not desecrated and things like that. Like a lot of cultures and traditions do that, especially supernatural things. But the fact of like not keeping pictures or books of theirs or anything that belonged to them, like burning it all, seemed like, for me, I'm so sentimental. I'm like, oh my God, no. But that was an interesting thing. And they have several gods that they pray to. It's just an interesting background of the world that they live in.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm suspicious because the politics is so complex. So it's like, do they burn the possessions because like,
probably
they want to control the narrative, like.
Probably.
You think about all these things. But
the deeper you get into it, you realize they are controlling the narrative.
Yeah.
They don't want anything to choice. That's not the phrase I want to. Anything to chance. Leave anything to chance.
Yes. But through all this ridiculous training, I mean, we've got the mat sessions that end bloody, and she's always in the healer's quadrant. You've got the gauntlet. You've got like all of these terrible things.
But she is a tough cookie because one, she's used to being in pain. She mentions it a lot. Like pain is her friend almost. Like she is so used to it. She's found a way to compartmentalize it, put it in like another section of her brain and close it off, which is sad, but also a strength of hers that she can work through it. She expects it. She knows how to deal with it. She knows how to handle it. And she doesn't like being, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically, she doesn't like people expecting her to lose because of all of these disadvantages that she has. And so while at first she mentioned something about this guy Dane, where she kind of fantasized one day they'd be together, the more that he keeps saying, you can't, it's pushing her farther and farther away from that little fantasy, because she's starting to feel like you don't believe in me.
And as a reader, that's when you start to like dislike Dane.
Yeah.
You're like, dude. She knows her limitations and how things are. And like, granted, she does hurt herself a lot. Like, she gets hurt a lot. Things happen. But she's able to adapt and use that.
And she's trying.
Her ability.
And she's being brave about it. Like, you really grow to love her character.
And then you just grow to dislike Dane a little bit more. Just kind of like, it just gives you like the ick.
Yeah.
And then Jack Barlow, you just start to hate.
Oh, you despise.
You just hate him. And then through all this, there's Xaden. And you just are more and more intrigued.
And the crazy thing is, he's a dick.
And I loved it.
Same.
Like, the way
you know what it is? It reminds me of, you know, when you were little and they're like, oh, he's mean to you because he likes you.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, he totally likes her.
Any attention he gave her, regardless of what it was, I was like, intrigued.
I like it.
Approved.
Give me more. This is such a sad statement for feminism, I feel.
I know.
But I love it, and I'm here for it, and I know a lot of other people love it too.
But we learned that Xaden, I feel like he fully supports the female ability. Maybe it's just Violet, but you know.
Yeah, he does.
So it's not all bad.
He is definitely attracted to her stubbornness and to her willingness and to the fact that she does not back down.
Yeah.
Even like so mighty. She is so small, she is mighty. But what we haven't talked about is all these challenges are getting them ready to bond with a dragon.
Yes, the threshing.
Which is not a guaranteed.
No, because she has, in her little squad, you've got Sawyer. Sawyer had to redo.
Yes.
Sawyer was not killed his first year, but he didn't bond. So he has to go through the first year again to get to the threshing. Which in the beginning, I was like getting secondhand embarrassment for Sawyer.
Yeah.
As you read the series, you do, like, Sawyer grows on you, like, you love Sawyer.
Yeah.
But I was just like, they just turned it, and he has advice. He does. He's been through it. He's succeeded almost everything. So it's helpful to them. But, like, it just feels like that.
There's just a sadness about it because there are so many opportunities to die, and to think that you made it through all of that.
To have to do it again.
To have to do it all over again with the opportunity of dying again before you make it is just, it's just brutal. And so during the threshing is that the dragons come to kind of like inspect all the prospective riders. And like there are all these rules. It was making me tense while we were reading it. It's like basically like they have to walk through what would you call it? Like they're walking in a line, through, like a procession of some sort. And they're like, you know, you don't look at them directly in the eye, don't show weakness, basically just keep going whatever you do. And if the dragons sense something not right about you, they're probably going to kill you.
And it's like, they are just, I can't remember who it is, so sorry, RIP. But they are walking, and someone like says a comment or something happens, and then a dragon literally just like burns them alive.
Yeah.
And they're just like,
and then that freaks somebody out, and they want to run, and they're like, don't run, because if you run, then they're like, oh, this person's weak. And then they flame and torch that one. So it is just.
And the first years have to go in there alone.
Yeah.
You go in and you either don't bond like Sawyer, but you live. You go in and you die, so you obviously don't bond. Or you go in and you bond with the dragon and you make it out, and they're just waiting for you to come out.
Yeah.
That's the
so they have to do that procession.
There's no SOS comes like get us.
And then it's also like not even that day after that procession, like the dragons think on it a little bit, and then they come back, and then they're like, you know, we'll see what happens. So everybody's just kind of waiting around to see if a dragon shows up and bonds with you. The whole time that I was reading that part, I was like, you know, some of these books you don't want to see turn into movies because you don't want what's in your head ruined. But that scene, I think I would really love to cinematically, my goodness, my words, cinematically how they would do that. Just like the burning sun, like the fear in your eyes. And it was just such a crazy ass scene. Harry Potter could never.
No. And then they get there. And once again, mind you, you can die from the dragon.
Yeah.
And that's your biggest threat. But what happens to Violet? Oh, Jack and his little friends decide they're going to kill her here. So it's like,
because
she's not even trying to get killed.
Well, because what they say is like we have X amount of dragons and so many people. So there's more people than there are dragons. And so they're thinking, well, we'll just kill some. And then, there's more dragons for us.
So now she's like, at this point, Violet isn't even like concerned about the dragons.
No. She's just like, I don't want to be murdered.
She's like, I'm trying not to get murdered. I'm trying to survive. And then, of course, her character comes into play because there's this little tiny dragon. I mean, tiny, but I don't know how big she is.
Yeah.
Dragon, and it's Jack and the gang, Jack and the crew, have ganged up on her, and they're there to bond a dragon, and now they've decided they're gonna kill this
a dragon, to kill a baby dragon. I don't know how they think that they're going to get back then.
Yeah, he does bond with someone. So, anywho, this is when you're like, okay, Violet, you just survived them. Now you're going back because you want to save this little baby dragon. Excuse me. And then what happens? The biggest dragon in the history of forever and ever, with the longest name that I don't even want to start to pronounce, decides to come over and help save everyone at this point. And then bonds with her. And then they come out, and it's not even just him who, everyone, wants to run away in fear when they see Taryn. But, the little golden one, I just picture her, tagging along.
Okay, I keep, and this is so wrong, but I keep picturing, the Land Before Time.
Yeah.
That kind of, dinosaur figure. When I read about Andarna, I just, that's cartoon, cutesy.
And it doesn't help that it's so when they get back, they have to report the name of the dragon and their formal name, because no one knows their formal name except the rider they bonded to. And this is where things get weird, because all of a sudden the dragon's voice is in Violet's mind.
Yeah.
So you're a little freaked out by that. That one took me a second. I was like, oh, now we're going to talk to each other. And then Andarna's like, say my name. She's just like, me too. And I'm just like, what is happening? And then, Mr. Codex comes, oh, no, this is not allowed. You can't bond with two dragons and blah, blah, blah. And then you find out, humans don't even matter, because the dragons get all the say.
They do what they want.
They do what they want. And so she comes out with Taryn and Andarna. Dane, for some reason, decides this is a great moment to what you'd think would be Violet's dream and kiss her. She's so uninterested.
She gets the ick when he kisses her.
She does.
She's like, ooh, it's not what I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
That was an uncomfortable moment.
And then, honestly, the best thing out of all of this is you learn that Taryn is mated to Xaden's dragon. And now all their lives depend on each other.
Yeah.
And so you were just waiting for, Xaden and Violet have had their interactions. They're in Fourth Wing together. They've had their moments.
She's caught him having a special secret meeting with the marked ones, which I don't think we even mentioned, but the marked ones are marked because they're the children of the rebellion. And so it was in order for them to live, it's we kill your parents, but now you have to join us and you're loyal to us. But they're all marked to show that they once were part of a rebellion, which is so
they have what they call the relic.
Yeah.
And Xaden is super, super marked because he has a scar on his back to represent every single one of them. He's 152, I think. So he has 152 little scars on his back. Because he, for some reason, I don't know if it's because he's Fen Ryerson's son,
probably,
leader, but he's basically in charge of all these lives. Which just adds to his attraction. But
so brave.
So if you were they had their encounters, but they were kind of few and far between. And now, as a reader,
now they have to
I was
be
like,
together.
oh, thank God.
Yes. Now they have to be together.
And it's not like actual forced proximity, but like, it's better than nothing.
Where you go, I go, baby.
Like, you need to keep me alive, I need to keep you alive. So I was like, thank goodness this happened.
And then it's also because of the dragon mates. Like, they cannot be away from each other for more than a few days or so. Like,
they definitely end up pushing their limits.
They do, but they go crazy if they're gone for a certain amount of time. So like, whatever exercises he has, she has to be a part of. And so like, it changes their schedules because he is a 4th year or 3rd year?
2nd year.
He's a
Wait, no, he is a 3rd year.
He's a 3rd year. So like, there are definitely things that he really shouldn't be around, but now because his dragon is mated to Violet's dragon, they have to be around. Oh, and it's so sweet.
God bless.
To be forced.
It was together. Like the 4th wing version of There's One Bed at the Inn.
Yes.
You know that trope?
Yes.
Because like, you were just waiting for it and you're like, finally.
Now they have to get together.
Like, this is...
Now they have to talk together and train and learn about each other's quirks.
And it's exactly what Zane has to do. He realizes, like we said earlier, Violet's poisoning everyone on the mat.
Yeah.
So he's like calling her out and is like, you need to get better.
Yeah.
And now my life depends on your life.
Yeah.
So like, I have to help you get better.
Yeah. Yeah. But he also, unlike Dane, he pushes her to be a little more risky.
Yeah.
He knows what she's capable of. He also knows like what her limitations are, but he is not afraid to have her push the boundaries.
Yeah.
Whereas Dane is always like, delicate flower, delicate flower.
Yeah.
He's like, no, you can do it. And that totally turns her on. She doesn't admit it at first, but she loves it. She loves the pushback with him.
Oh, yeah. And then I think the biggest turning scene for them is the night when Violet wakes up out of nowhere and it's Taryn in her head telling her to wake up. Mm-hmm. And there are, I don't know, 3, 4, I don't know how many people are in her room.
A lot.
There's a lot of people in her room there to kill her.
Yeah.
And she just woke up. She's good at fighting, but she's outnumbered, clearly. And thankfully, they're just all connected beautifully. And Xaden shows up. And with his shadows, because he's a shadow wielder, of course, because, the mystery behind that.
Yeah.
Literally I don't think he lifts a finger. Maybe I can't remember the scene exactly, but maybe he does physically do something, but uses his shadows to literally just suffocate these people and kill them.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Poor Violet already has, like, she had to put up a fight, so she has some, like, marks around her neck and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you're not staying in here, you're staying in my room. And I was like, perfect.
Bring it on.
This is what we needed. And I just feel like at that point, if I wasn't already in love with Xaden, I was.
Yeah.
And then Violet, I think, was kind of like, I almost died, but that was hot.
Yeah, I imagine, like, like those anime cartoons, like when the girl, suddenly her eyes get all big and black and there's like that little white part.
Exactly.
That's how I was. I'm going to tell you guys, this was a slow burn.
Yeah.
It took forever. There was so much tension between the two of them. And when it finally explodes, man, is it worth it.
And Violet and I apparently both love the, like, I'm going to kill anyone that touches you.
Yes.
Because that's what Xaden did immediately.
Burn the world down for me, please.
It's not even the romantic interest, which motivates him. He claims in the beginning. It's the, like, if you die, like, the lives are linked, whatever. Okay, Xaden.
Sure, that's what it is.
But I feel like, I was like, okay.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big shift for them.
Yeah, I think so too. Because I think he realizes at that point, like, it scared him because he could possibly die, but I think it also scared him because he really doesn't want her to die. Not because of him, but because I like her, or,
And then what could Xaden do to show that but ward her rooms? Which I love, because who's allowed in? Violet. Anyone Violet brings in the room,
And Xaden, yeah.
And what's his excuse? Like, it's for that situation if he has to, like, okay, Xaden.
And then he assigns her like a bodyguard, Liam. Can we talk about Liam for a minute?
Liam,
I love him so much.
I do too. He is just, he's so sweet. He just makes little beautiful dragon knickknacks out of wood. He goes, he works in goes to the scribe quadrant with her, enjoys it.
He's like, at first she's like, I'm sorry, you don't have to do this. This is ridiculous. And he's just like so gentlemanly about it. Of like, I owe a lot to Xaden. This isn't a big deal for me. Like,
yeah.
But then I think he also enjoys Violet. Like, they become really good friends.
Oh yeah.
And man, like, if I didn't have the issues that I have, I probably would be falling for someone like Liam and not Xaden.
But we all
have the same issues, I guess.
Yeah.
Because Liam's not it. But man, do I love him. Kind of just want him as like your brother or your best friend.
He's just so sweet.
Dependable, funny, caring. Just a good old guy.
Bless his heart.
Yeah.
Oh. Anywho.
Yeah. So things are going between Violet and Xaden. And you know what? I thought this was really realistic because I think I would be having the same doubts myself of like, well, he's only giving me this attention.
Yeah.
He's only helping me because, if I die, he dies. Like, he doesn't truly care about me. So because there are these moments where they keep having like this tension.
Yeah.
And she does find herself wondering, was that what I think it is?
Yeah.
But then she always goes back to that, like, no, it's just because of this thing.
Well, and it doesn't help that like one of their first moments of tension is like, which was
this is so funny.
Strange to imagine.
Yeah.
But she just all of a sudden is like, why am I feeling this way? Like, I don't really know how to describe how she was feeling. And she goes on a walk.
Well, first she wakes up and she's like, Liam, you look great tonight.
Yeah. She's hot and bothered.
Yeah.
And she ends up on a walk and she goes outside. She's like, what is happening to me? And of course there's Xaden like smoking.
Yeah.
Like smoking to get his mind off of it. Oh, because their dragons are getting after it.
Yeah.
Like, what? Rebecca, do what you have to do to force these two together, but that one was just like...
It was kind of weird. It made me laugh, though.
And Xaden's out there smoking to, like, distract himself. So you're just like, okay, so now you've got these two that are hot and bothered with all this tension building up. But then that's, once again, when they, like, finally do kiss and have that moment, it's like, oh, it's because our dragons are hooking up.
Yeah, it's not really us.
Yeah, it's like their version of like, you got drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, that doesn't help.
No.
She's already questioning enough.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, does that count now? I don't think it counts.
I know.
You want it to count, though.
Yeah. So, anywho.
And then for like our tropes, he gives her the whole, you don't want to be a part of this. Like, I've got secrets. And it's like, can you say anything else that's going to make me want it more?
He's so...
I'm not good for you.
Dark.
Yeah.
Mysterious. I don't know why what TikTok calls them, the shadow daddies are like that.
Yeah.
Like, think about Asriel. We don't know shit about him, and we
all love him. I saw a meme yesterday where it was like he has maybe 8 lines in all of the books, and yet all the girls are like,
We're obsessed. So, like, to have your shadow daddy be the main character, I'm sorry, your shadow wielder, whatever.
Yeah.
TikTok, yeah.
Which, by the way, he gets this power from his dragon. So they all potentially a signet. They all potentially get a power from their dragon, and if it doesn't develop in enough time, they can explode. This world is bizarro. I want to know what was going on in her brain when she was like, I'm going to create this and this, and then we'll have them do this, and then they could die for this, and then they could probably die from that. Like, everything, it's like living in Australia. Everything can kill them.
Because that's the other thing. Even if your signet develops and you have a signet where, like, you can read minds or things like that, if you don't hide it, it drives you insane, and then they immediately kill you because you're such a threat.
Yeah, there's a scene where I forget their name, somebody develops, and all of a sudden they're like, they're like screaming, like in the quad, like, I stop talking, and like some professor comes and just snaps their neck, and you're like, holy shit. Like, give them a chance to develop that. But you start to learn later on why they don't want somebody like that.
So we've got Xaden and his shadows that he got. It just makes him
sexier.
Thank God. And he's so powerful with those shadows too. Mm-hmm. Like, some of their signets are so lame and they can do so little with them. And Xaden can do so much with those shadows.
It reminds me a little bit of Rhysand.
Yeah.
Because how he's like the most powerful, and like with the snap he can, but they liken him to that. Like, that these shadows have so much power that he's the guy that you want in a battle, that he can take them all out.
Which then we learn Violet, she finally manifests her signet, which is a lightning wielder, which is interesting because in the beginning I was like, that sounds cool, but like, how is that going to be used? Especially because Violet can't control it.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh my God, these two are the most powerful ever. And I was like, Violet can't get it together.
Yeah. And then like she can burn herself out.
Yeah. So that was interesting because, of course, they're bonded because they're dragons. Then they're like the best combination that you could have, the most powerful two. They love each other secretly. Yeah. So it's like, what else? What else do they need? So at this point, we have to dive into some politics for, I think, other pieces to make sense.
Yeah.
This is where it might get iffy for me.
Okay.
Iffy
we're going to do our best. I know there are people out there who are like PhDs in this book. We're just two girls who like
we don't have any tabs.
Daddies. I don't have tabs. I'm sorry, guys. We just read, we enjoy, we focus on the smut. And I'm sorry. But we'll do our best.
All right. Once upon a time, just kidding. Here's a recap.
Okay.
You've got the rebellion that happened a while ago, which we touched on. People were killed. They don't really dive into what this quote unquote rebellion was.
Yeah, or like what caused it, what was it about?
Yep. And you learn through Violet in her books that there is this like scary little bedtime story that was told to them when they're little about creatures called venin, and how these venin can, like, they fly these wyvern.
I was pronouncing it wyvern.
The only reason I say wyvern is because they're also on Throne of Glass, and so I got set on that. I got set on it in Throne of Glass, and I haven't come back. So.
Okay. Well, I'm saying wyvern.
Anyway, the W's.
Yes.
And
they're basically like demon dragons, right?
Yeah. And I think parents usually like, if you don't do this, the venin are coming for you.
And then there's an interesting part where she brings up one of those old stories. Yeah. And she wanted to bring her book with her, but her sister was like, this waste of time, waste of space. So she goes to the scribe library, whatever. She's like, I want to check out these books. And they're like, none of those exist.
Yeah.
And that's the first moment where you're like,
that's weird. Why would she have it?
Why do those books not exist?
So they're important, but they're folklore at this point.
Yeah.
And then the biggest threat to their country they have ingrained in the citizens' brain are griffins. Is that how you said it?
That's how I said it, yeah.
Griffins and the griffin riders. And these people, they just say that they just like cause chaos and all of this stuff. That's my really bad summary of it.
Yeah, so their kingdom is, or I don't know if we're territory. Are they a kingdom? I'm going to call it a territory. Is called Navarre.
I'm sorry, there's a map in here, and it does not help me understand how they're separated.
Yeah,
because you've got like Navarre, you've got Poro.
Okay, so I guess there's provinces, but I don't know, like Poromil, the barons.
You got Tirandor.
Yeah, that's a province. So like I'm assuming that Navarre is more like the country. I don't know. But the point is, they've pretty much like closed themselves off from everybody. I guess
they have these wards up.
There was this great war before even the rebellion. And then with the rebellion, they put up more wards, and they just closed themselves off from everybody. So like they're protected in their little isolated hidey hole. And what they're saying is like these griffins are trying to come in and destroy our wards, kill our people, take our resources. So like, you know, Violet and her generation have been brought up with these stories of these are awful, awful people. But then she's also been brought up with these folk tales about things like venin and wyvern or wyverns, whatever you call them. And there's all this really ingrained political history that they are. It's almost giving like North Korea. Like this is our law and our Bible, and everybody knows it. These are the bad guys. We are the good guys trying to maintain safety. And you know, the writers at the college, Basgiath, they're very highly respected because it is an honor to get a dragon. It is very difficult to get a dragon and to make it as far as they do. And so they have like this air about them of like, we are the best.
Yeah.
And that's how they look at the rest of the world, with kind of like, but you're not us.
Yep.
But they're also very, very cold, you know, in terms of like, this is how life is. And they accept
no one questions
it. No one questions it. And they accept this life. And like, even in the beginning, it was just really hard having her mom force her to go into this when you know she doesn't want to do it. She'll probably die because she's so small and fragile, but you know, maybe her mom knew more.
Yeah.
That's when you start, like, as she gets through everything, I started to wonder, her mom really seems like a very like ice queen. But I started to think that there was a reason behind it. There's something, you get the sense there's something no one is telling them.
And so with this, they have, I think they call it outposts. At least that's what I've called it.
But then they also have classes each day. What did they call them? It's not really a class. It's like briefings.
Yes.
Where they come in and they tell them
the battle briefings.
Battle briefings, yeah. Yes. And they tell them like, this is like someone's trying to get into the ward, and Violet is awesome at this. She's very good at looking at the map, listening to the details that they're telling them, and being like, wait, isn't that there? Weren't they trying to do this? And they're very impressed with her. But there's one time, and I don't know if it was with, I think it was when she's with Liam at the scribe center or whatever, like they're getting one of the briefings, and they read it. It was like this, and they're like, well, they're going to read it to us in the battle briefing anyway. So they kind of looked at it, and it mentioned something about a battle or like some people being killed, but then they never read it during the battle briefing. And this is when Violet starts to wonder, why are they holding some things from us? And then that's when like the book's not existing, things are starting to add up, like something for the reader too. You realize something is not right. And then you start to connect that these meetings that Xaden has been having with his rebels, are they planning to attack again? Like, what else is going on? You don't know if they're withholding things for the good to save people, or something nefarious is going on. And that's where, like, even with all the spicy stuff, you start to really like get invested.
And with the outpost, so like once you do your 3 years, you're a lieutenant and you're assigned to one. So her sister, for example, is at an outpost and things like that. And that's exactly what this war college is breeding riders to protect the borders with no questions asked.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, one of the exercises, trainings, is Violet and her squad are sent to her sister's outpost. And they're there to like get a feel for it, I guess. I don't know. So they're there for a bit, and they do kind of like, her sister Mira is how I said it in my head.
Yeah, me too.
Mira, you know, they show them the outpost, what's happening, and then they're kind of doing like a battle briefing with Mira at this outpost. And Mira's like, okay, as a squad, let's say this happens hypothetically. You have to use your signets, all this stuff. And like, who shows up? Because he wasn't there, but Xaden. And I love, the reason I bring up this scene in particular is because we get a bonus chapter of Xaden's point of view of this scene. So Xaden shows up. Dane's pissed. Mira can't stand him. They're like, why are you here? And he's like, you know our dragons can't be away from each other, blah, blah, blah. So Xaden's in this battle briefing with them, sitting right next to Violet. I have this scene, I swear to God, memorized. Has an arm draped over the back of her chair. Just like...
very possessive.
Very possessive all of a sudden. And then they're doing their battle briefing. And now that Xaden's there, they're like using him as well and his powers and whatnot. And this scene is super important because I don't know what triggers him. He gets pissed at Dane or something. And he floods the room with his shadows. Just to show like...
what he's capable
of. And while he does this, Violet swears she feels a shadow, like, I think it's like caress her cheek. And you're like, wow, okay, that's interesting. And then Xaden's talking to her in her head. And this is the first time they've communicated like that.
Yeah.
And she is freaked out, and he's like in her head, like, because he said, like, you know, don't worry, that was me or something. Like, that was just me. And she's like, what? And she's saying everything out loud. And he's like, if you don't shut up, this is going to get weird. And he's talking through the head. And she's like, how did you know you could do this? And he's like, I wasn't sure, but I wanted to try.
Yeah.
And so now you're like, this is getting better.
I know.
Their lives depend on each other. He wields shadows.
Yeah.
He'll kill for her.
Yeah.
And now
he's the strongest ever.
They can speak without speaking.
Come on.
And it's... I like love that scene, but then all of a sudden the outpost is under attack and they have to get out of there. And then you're like, you know, they're like on the roof. This is what I'm picturing. Their dragons are coming by one by one. Mira is telling Xaden to get her out because, of course, they're like, we can fight. And Mira's like, no, you GTFO. And so Xaden, I'm pretty sure, like, probably, I think he literally just lifts her, carries Violet out to the roof. And then, but then you hate it because to distract her.
Yeah.
Because she's so hell-bent on staying there. He decides to kiss her. So you're like, okay, the first kiss we got.
Yeah.
It was because your dragons were getting after it.
Yeah.
And now we get this, and it's just a distraction.
It's a low blow.
It is.
Because he knows how she's feeling about him. At least sexually, right? Or physically. And he knows it's going to stop her in her tracks. And it felt so mean to me. Like you wanted it and you were so excited it happened. But then when she realized that was like his way of like taking away those moments where now we have to go, she was so mad.
But then you get to read his point of view at the end.
Yeah.
And I loved his point of view of this chapter because now that you're in his point of view, you get his dragon talking to him. And it's one of my favorite scenes where they're like, why the hell are you here? And he's like, well, you know our dragons are mated, like they can't be away. And all of a sudden she pops into his head and is like, where's Violet? What is Violet doing? Is Dane too close to Violet? And you realize it was Xaden that was like, we need to go. And I love that. That's like my favorite part. Because then you're like, I mean, you don't read it until the end, but you're like, okay.
Yeah.
He was there too.
Yeah.
They just couldn't seem to get on the same wavelength at that point.
Yeah, but I think it's also like they're both stubborn and neither of them wants to admit it. They want to just rely on, well, it's because of this. Oh, it's because of this. But they're so freaking stubborn that they just don't want to give in to it.
And it's interesting because like he does kiss her to distract her, but he enjoys it.
Yeah.
And like
I enjoyed it.
I love that scene. I love it from Xaden's point of view too. I'm pretty sure that's why I think I've reread that scene because it's in the back of the book. And I was like, that was a good one. Let me read. Let me
do that one again.
But anyway, it's important for many reasons, not just because you get more attracted to Xaden, but because that's where you learn that they can communicate through their minds. And it also helps. It has a little bit of politics in it because they're under attack by these griffin riders and things like that. And so they have to get out. And then I don't really know how much time passes after that before they're sent off on their war games.
A little bit, because
enough that we learned about when Violet uses her lightning.
You mean like when the burn finally happens?
Yeah.
The slow burn finally erupts into flames? Yeah. Yeah, man. I don't even know what causes them to finally do that.
I don't remember either, because for me, it's interesting because like you have the lightning and all of that happens, but I don't remember the lead up to it either.
I don't either. I don't remember what was going on or what was happening. Okay. Is it...
I can think of like reasons why it would.
Yeah. Is it because of what she does to Jack Barlow? Is it like after that, or is it before what she does to Jack?
I don't remember.
I don't remember, but listen. Sorry, guys. Listen. It happens, and that's really what matters. I think it's called... she really pushes for it. She's just like, I am tired of this. I want this. Which is another thing.
Maybe he is consoling her because she kills Jack Barlow. That's like what happens.
He attempts to kill her, and she
kills his hit. She kills his.
she kills him. But I think it was like one of their last trials where they have to like go through all these different what do you call them?
The gauntlet?
Was it the gauntlet? Where it's like all these different can't think of the word I want to use.
Like when a kid makes a little...
I'm thinking of like I hate this. Like the warrior shows that they used to have.
Yes, the gauntlet.
Okay.
What
was the name of the show?
It's the ninja show?
Ninja Warriors. Yeah. Yeah, and they have to go through different...
What do you call that? Like a kid, you can make it for a small child. Like you have to walk across this, jump across this, and there's like a name for it.
I know. I can't think of it. Guys, I'm blaming it on several things. One, it's called mom brain. I know my son is 9, but the mom brain is still a thing. But I think also perimenopause. Perimenopause. It's taking and eating away all of my brain cells. I cannot think of this word that I want to use, but they have to go through all of these.
Starts with a vowel.
Starts with a vowel. Oh my god.
Okay. Anyway, continue talking about it while I find it.
Oh my god. So anyway, they have to go through these different things of the word that I can't think of, and Violet actually very cleverly finds a way, because there's one where she has to like jump up something, but she's way too tiny to make it.
Yep.
And so she uses her daggers, which are like one
obstacle course.
Obstacle course.
It was a vowel.
He's dead.
I knew it was a vowel.
Obstacles.
Anywho,
that was a journey.
Wow, we made it though.
We did, and it didn't take us very long.
Okay,
anyway,
we've lost readers because how long, or listeners because how long it just took us.
Please, like you've never forgotten what a word was.
Okay.
Anyway, so she's very, very... one of her biggest strengths is her use of daggers. Like she throws them with like supreme accuracy, but she comes up with an idea of like using the daggers to help her like climb up something, because she can't do it because of the way, like how high up it goes. So she can't make the run, right?
Yeah.
Remember? So she can't make the run, so she uses the daggers, and people want to say that she's cheating.
Which is so wild that we bring this up, because I forgot that's why the people broke into her room to try to kill her.
Yes.
Because she cheated on the gauntlet.
That's it. Okay.
That's why they came in to kill her.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Okay. Well,
anyway.
We got there.
We got there eventually.
But yeah, so then like Jack tries to kill her during one of these things, and they're like on a mountain, and she literally uses the lightning to crash him down the mountain and like
rocks
destroy his body. Yeah, a rock, and he's killed.
And I feel like Xaden is like Xaden's like, you got to get it together. Like you're gonna end up killing people. Like Of course, Xaden killed like 6 in her bedroom.
But he also tells her like, this is what being a writer is. You're going to kill people. and you can't fall apart every time you do it. Basically saying he was going to kill you, and you stopped it, and you can't sit and be sad about it. Whereas like someone like Dane would have been like, okay, let's cry about it, and it changes you,
and that's why the I don't know if she was like the leader of what squad, but she gets pissed because she's like a female Dane, and she realized like that she broke the rules, and she gets really pissed about this and whatnot, that they should be disqualified. And it's like her and some other minions of hers that break into her room, try to kill her. That's when Xaden's like, kills them, but she escapes.
Yeah.
But Violet laid eyes on her.
Oh,
and then they go to formation.
And she's like good friends with Dane.
Yes, they go to formation, and Violet.
Oh, yes.
Violet's like, that's who it was. And Dane, of course, is like, it couldn't be. And Xaden's like, I believe Violet.
Yeah. And that's when that line is absolutely destroyed between Violet and Dane.
Yep.
And then
it gets destroyed even more.
Because then he wants to touch her, because he has confided to her that his signet, and it's super secret, is that he can tell like when you're telling the truth or not. Like he can see your thoughts.
Yeah.
But he has to touch you.
Like your temples.
Yes. And he tries to do that to her, and she's just so pissed that like he didn't just believe her.
Yeah.
And that causes all sorts of trouble.
Anyway, so now that we've jumped around
so much,
but you're still listening.
The point is, they end up having sex.
And this is when you learn that the lightning is a little uncontrollable. And the amount of memes I see that's like all the students when there's lightning at night and whatnot, because it's like, oh my God. Anywho,
she can't control it when she's with him. They destroyed a bed. They destroyed a dresser.
Yeah. So
it was wild, and it was worth the wait.
It was. But then we get back to the politics. Yes. And this is where...
It's not all smut.
This is where shit hits the fan. Because at the end of the year, they are sent off to participate in war games. And this is where your squad is basically sent on a essentially real-ish mission. And you have to survive. You have to survive. You have to come back. And Dane does not go on this mission. Correct. I'm processing this. She is sent on this mission. She's not sent on the mission. Xaden and a bunch of the marked ones are. And they go, remember, because Xaden argues that Violet has to go with him.
Yes.
And Dane is like, very upset.
He's adamant. Do not go.
Yes. You do not go with him. Do not go with him. Do not go with him. And you're like, Dane, shut the hell up at this point.
Yeah.
But Dane did know something.
He did.
And so Violet goes off with Xaden.
Well, wait, because she kind of like makes a declaration to Dane of like, listen.
Yeah.
He goes, I go. And she makes it pretty clear like that they're together, kind of. And he makes this statement. I can't forget like the exact words, but he's just like, what did he say to her? It's kind of like, I'm sorry, or like, I'm sorry, you made your choice, or something like that. He makes this statement that has you going, why would he? I'm going to have to find it. You keep talking.
Yeah.
Like, why would he say that to her?
So,
okay, I'm going to have to
they go, and interestingly enough, they're sent to an outpost that's outside of the wards, which is kind of strange. And they get there, and things are weird. There's like, and Violet goes, and she is by water for some reason. I remember this. And all of a sudden, she runs into some Griffin riders, and of course, Xaden's not far behind her. And the Griffin rider knows Xaden's name. They greet each other, and Violet's like, WTF, because these are supposed to be our enemies. And they talk about these weapons, and this is when she learns Xaden and other marked ones are providing certain weapons to the Griffin riders to fight off Venom. And this is where Violet's world is flipped almost upside down because she gets flipped a little bit more at the end. Because Brennan they're not folklore. They're out there. Griffin riders are not causing these issues. It's Brennan. Griffin riders are out there outside of the wards, cannot protect themselves. So they're helping them with these weapons. And so she's like, okay, so this is a lot of lying to handle. And then there's a note left at this outpost that's like deserted and things are kind of weird and freaky for Xaden specifically. And I can't remember what it says, but it's basically, it proves that they've been set up by the leadership.
Yeah.
They have been set up to go there to die. And they decide to protect this town that's outside the wards because they get attacked by Brennan. And they agree as a squad, which is interesting because I don't know if they didn't pick up that they're all marked ones except Violet when they went.
Yep.
But they are.
She's the only one.
She's the only one. So they decide, you know what? We're going to protect this town from this Brennan. And if we die, we die. And they agree as a squad. And so Violet's still like, what? But she agrees because obviously she's going to. She doesn't back down from anything. And like the whole squad agrees. And so she's like, I don't know what's happening, but like, sure. And so they get into this really intense battle. Violet's still not good at like controlling her lightning, but she and Taryn learn that she can strike down these Brennan with her lightning. They kind of learn that like one Brennan controls multiple Wyvern, or however you want to say it. So if she hits one, she can knock out a bunch of them, and it's like this huge battle. And then your heart breaks into a million pieces because we do have the sweetest character ever. Liam's dragon. That starts with a D, but I can't remember.
I just saw it. Days?
It's
Deigh.
Yeah.
Day.
Is killed.
Yeah.
And the quote that you said in the beginning, you know, a rider without their dragon is dead, is literal. So Liam is not physically injured, but they know that Liam only has a few minutes because his dragon just died. And so, you know, Violet's with him, holding on to him, you know, gets him to his dragon, and Liam has to die, which is absolutely terrible. So in this process, they continue this battle, and Violet takes a poisoned dagger, like poison green dagger, to the side, and essentially is just marked unconscious. And so once they have finished this, Xaden and the crew get Violet. She's unconscious. At least she doesn't remember it. And they fly to a space where he knows they're going to be safe. And Violet wakes up like 3 days later. She doesn't know where she is.
She's also feeling like a little betrayed by Xaden too, that he kept things from her, and she doesn't know what's up or down at this point.
She's very confused. She's pissed at him because like not only was he supplying the weapons, like he knew all this stuff, he didn't tell her. She's injured, and like 3 days later she wakes up. Xaden is right there by her side. She has no idea where she is. Tara found the moment.
I found it. Okay. Okay. I just want to know. Okay. So Dane looks hard. This is when she's like basically said, listen, Xaden has never hurt me. I'm going with him. Because he's like, you're going to get killed if you go with him. And she's like, you know, at some point you have to let this go. Dane looks horrified for a second, but quickly masks it. If he's what you choose, he sighs, then I guess that has to be enough for me, doesn't it? Yes, I nod. Thank God all this nonsense is about to be past us. He swallows hard and leans in to whisper, I'll miss you, Violet. Then he pivots on his heel and heads for Kath. And at first, when I first read that, it felt ominous to me. Like you could read it of like he's, you know, saying goodbye to like his chances with her, but I felt like he thought something else was going to happen.
Yes. So, and that comes back in Iron Flame because she is ready to
tear
murder him
apart. Yeah.
So she wakes up, and now I have to quote it, and Xaden's there. He hasn't left her side. She has no idea where she is. And let me find it. Wow. It's not that one, because that's when... Oh my god. Oh.
Is it like right at the end?
Oh yeah, I found it. Okay. Yeah. So this is from Xaden's point of view when she wakes up, which is great. And he's been by her side for these 3 days. Are you on 492?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
this is in his perspective?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And so this is when he admits like he loves her. To him, he doesn't say it like out loud. He's like saying it to himself.
Yes. I love her. Of course I love her.
He gives her like the satisfaction of like, I fell for you, all these things. But anyway, so she wakes up because like he has come to his senses because he almost lost her. You know, of course it takes that moment. And he says, you know, I'm not going to lose the only woman I've ever fallen for, because now she's pissed at him. And so he's like, you're right. I kept all these secrets. This was terrible of me, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, I fell for you. And she's mad. And she's like, stop, because she's got all these emotions going on. Anyway, moral of the story is they're having like this mild argument. Xaden's like, I'm so sorry. Basically saying everything without saying, I'm madly in love with you. And Violet's kind of like, you know, I don't know. And Xaden's like, no, you do still love me. And it's like, oh my God, you're like, what's happening? And then the best part is towards the end is there's a knock at the door. And Xaden goes, you have about 20 seconds to ask a question if I know him. I'm like, oh, okay. And, you know, she's asking a question about, do you think there's any chance we just happen to end up in the middle of a wyvern attack at that outpost? And all of a sudden, she asks this question, and there's this other voice, and it says, that definitely wasn't an accident, little sister, he says from the doorway. And then Xaden sighs, moves to the side, watching Violet's eyes widen as she sees him standing in the doorway. And then Xaden says, told you I knew better poison masters. You weren't healed, you were mended. And then she looks, and it's her brother Brennan. And Brennan smiles and opens his arms and says, welcome to the revolution, Violet. So I think he was supposed to be dead for 6 years.
I thought, 6 or 7 years. A long freaking time.
So here's the thing. And obviously they will dive into this because that's how the book technically ends later.
I think I texted you the moment I finished this book.
Yeah.
I texted you a gif of like a little girl doing that.
Literally. So like they're already arguing about like, you didn't tell me you're supplying them. You didn't tell me all this stuff. And then
like a record scratch.
Literally icing on the cake.
Oh, and you knew my brother was alive this whole time? So it's like a lot of secrets that like, but...
And that's how it ends.
And that's how it ends! And I was so happy to know that I just had to order the next book.
Yes. You didn't have to wait for it to be
released. I could not imagine having read that in real time. I don't know how long before the next book came out, but I could not have imagined that. Because I know how I'm feeling now after reading the third book.
Oh, yeah. I got to the point where I went on TikTok and I was like, completed fantasy series. I'm not kidding you. Because I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like, give me a little duet even or a trilogy.
Yeah,
I don't can't do it. But
can't do it.
And then you're like, oh my God. And then you get a couple of Xaden's point of views, which are great. But then, anyway, you're just like, oh, God bless. Like, because like Xaden's like, oh my God, I fell for you, all this stuff. And you're like, yes, finally. Violet will forgive him. And then the brother walks in, you're like, well, oh, we just took 10 steps back.
Yeah, this is going to take a while.
If she was pissed about that.
Yeah. You can't blame her.
No.
You know? Yeah. But also because you can't blame her because she talks about her dad a lot, who was the scribe, right? And who she fashions herself after. They keep mentioning that the dad died of like a heart attack or heartbreak because of him, because of losing the son. And so I got to tell you, it started making me think, well, is the dad dead for real? Like, you know, but there's a lot there. There's a lot there that you can understand why she's going to be mad and this is going to take a lot of mending.
Yeah.
But
anywho,
So that's our really wild explanation.
I feel like the more I like a book, because you get excited and you want to jump to things, and then you're like, oh wait, actually,
I know I can't talk about that yet.
But before we go to like some final thoughts and things like that, I really like, because I have read From Blood and Ash.
Oh, you have? Okay.
I have.
I was going to ask you if you have. I haven't read it.
Yes. So the enemies to lover
Is
parallel.
that complete?
Oh.
That's not complete?
I want to say there's one more book coming out. Blood and Ash is interesting because Blood and Ash has a prequel series.
Mm-hmm.
And there's supposed to be some like fancy reading order that I didn't follow. I read From Blood and Ash, and then I read the prequel series. And that, you want to talk about like complex politics and world building, you're like, what? But they are very much enemies to lovers in the same sense that Xaden and Violet were enemies, kind of like fell for each other and then took those 10 steps back.
Okay.
Same with Poppy and Castile.
Okay.
They like go enemies to lovers, and then she finds stuff out and like goes 10 steps back, and he has to like regain that trust.
Gotcha.
So I thought that was interesting.
Okay.
But yeah. Oof.
Yeah, it's a lot. Like I said, and I was afraid to admit it, but I really dig in this more than ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's just a lot that it's hitting all my kinks, I guess.
It's also hard to look at some of these questions, like final thoughts and looking ahead, is because we've read the second and third book, so we know the answers to some of these.
Well, I can tell you how I would have answered after, because I did write these down after reading the first book, and so I had my ideas then. One of the questions is, did the twist about the government's lies work, or did it feel rushed? I think it all worked. I think you were starting to see very early on that the government was hiding things. Just like I said, you weren't sure because like they had a good reason for hiding it, or now you kind of figure out towards the end here, like they're hiding some serious shit, but why? You still don't know why. Why are they hiding all of this? So I didn't think it felt rushed. I enjoyed it. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Hunger Games, of how like they're just playing the people in their different provinces. Like when no one knows the full picture, everybody can be against each other. And so really liked that. And then
you know that Iron Flame is going to like, if we didn't like, this was just like peeling back at the surface, like you know Iron Flame is going to just reveal it all.
Exactly. And then like, you know, the predictions were like, you know, will she fully side with Xaden? And my answer was, of course she will, because they do love each other. I didn't know how long it was going to take, but I did believe that she's going to side with him and her brother. You know, is there another twist coming? I absolutely believe there are lots of twists coming.
Which would be so wild if Rebecca had, like, if she didn't ever forgive Xaden. Like, how, like, you could go on with the series, but like,
you could, but it would
be that interesting.
It would be soul crushing for the readers. You want them to, like, you can drag it out, but you want them to come back together. And then like Dane, it's kind of like, Tamlin, will they redeem themselves? Is he beyond saving? Well, this one was tough because what you find out is that like he figured out some shit that Xaden was doing because he stole Violet's memories, and he was going to get them all killed. I don't, you know, like.
And it's interesting because you're like, was Dane saying these things, and like, because he's such a rule follower, so was he doing the most that he could? Like, you don't know. You hate him.
You hate him, but you do. He's not a Tamlin. No. You get a sense that he's trying his best. But like the way he was like, don't go with him. You know, like I think he was trying his best to be like, I can't say why, but I need you to do this, this, and this. But you still are very angry with him. I will say, that's all I will say about that. And then it's like, how will Violet's power evolve? Will she unlock something even more dangerous?
Well, one, she's got to get control of it.
She's
all over the place.
But you do get the sense in this first book that there must be something more to her, because the most powerful dragon ever bonds her. And then also a second dragon that no one in this world seems to know anything about. And we didn't talk enough about Andarna, but she seems to be like an absolute mystery to everybody. They've never seen a dragon like her.
some of the professors really want to like study her. They're very interested in her, but she's so young that she has to like.
And she's got this power that she gave Violet that she can literally stop time.
Yeah.
Now it totally knocks her out for weeks and weeks if she uses it, but she's got these really powerful powers, and
it's not like it's Violet's signet. It's just like she can help her do it.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like
it's strange. Like she's like, here, you take this for a minute. And so you kind of get the sense of like, well, why would she bond? Like, how is she, first of all, the only one that's ever been bonded with two dragons? Mm-hmm. So you just get the sense that there's definitely more to Violet than what we've learned.
Yeah.
And that's when I started thinking like maybe mom knew that there was more to her. Maybe mom was confident that her daughter was going to survive. I don't know. You just get the sense that there is more coming.
Yeah, like Violet was destined for something. Like fate had this written out for her.
Something big is coming for her, whether she likes it or not.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That was a lot. I can't even imagine going.
I know.
Iron Flame, I feel like, will be not as much, but man, Onyx Storm is going to be like
a lot.
Because
then we'll be able to like connect some of these dots and go over some theories.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of great theories.
Or what if we're going to have to like end up splitting something or like do a theory one like because even I can't see the time on my phone right now, but I was like kind of looking at.
Oh yeah, we're like at an hour and a half. However, well, hour and 20.
We jabbed for
a little.
Yapped. Jabber.
What is happening?
I don't know. Speech is gone. Anyway.
Anyway, freaking loved this book, you guys. I loved it. If you have hung, wow.
Stayed around, I think.
You hung in there with us.
There we go.
And you loved this book as much as we did. Please, 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 please. I say this every time and no one comments and it's really hurting my feelings. Please comment. Let us know your ideas, your thoughts, the things that you love. Did you hate anything about this book?
I feel like in the beginning, I will say back to Brittany and her comment about the writing.
Okay.
In the beginning, I think I didn't like Violet's inner monologue.
Okay.
And it simmered. It got better, but in the beginning, I was kind of like, eh. And then Iron Flame, I did like I could touch on that, but there were a couple things where I was just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think in the beginning it was just. There was something.
I would say for me, I honestly can't think of anything I didn't like in this first book.
I mean, this definitely like was probably this series and the books and everything were probably like the worst book hangovers I had, which is exactly why when asked where I would sit on a 13-hour flight with all these characters, it doesn't matter where Xaden is, who I'd have to sit on the other side. I would sit on the other side, like have Tamlin on one side, have Xaden on the other side. I don't care. I'm going to sit by Xaden.
Yeah.
And if there are no seats left, I'm going to sit in his lap. Like, people were commenting on other spots on the plane. I don't
care.
I don't care.
Yeah, and now I understand.
I will be sitting next to Xaden.
Number one, a friend sent me a Instagram reel today, and it was like 0 days without thinking about Xaden. And like, that's really how it is. Just love them. Just love them. But yeah, so comment, let us know your thoughts, your opinions on this lovely little masterpiece, what you're hoping for. Shout out to South America. You did it. You showed up.
South America.
You showed up. We appreciate you. And another shout out back to our friends in Ghana who keep listening. I love it.
That's so funny.
I love it. And then there's another part of Germany that joined. I can't remember now, but it doesn't let me look at it on my app. But on the computer, it shows me like the different sections. I love it. We've got like the Philippines. What else did we have?
Uruguay.
South
America popped up, and it popped up with like a couple.
Yeah, like you really answered the call when we said that you had to like. Okay, it's not working for me. It's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. But yeah, Philippines, Uruguay, Puerto Rico.
I swear Iraq was on there.
Yeah, Iraq was there. I mean, welcome. I just wish you would leave some comments. How the hell did you find us?
I also wonder that.
And what books do you want us to read?
Yeah, did you find like I'm always curious, like, did people search a book title?
I would think maybe.
And then like found that episode.
Mm-hmm. Our second most popular is Housemaid. I'm sorry. I hope you came back.
Yeah, sorry to the people you made mad.
Maybe we need to do another Frida. Maybe people really love her.
People do love Frida.
I mean, listen, it was fun. But yeah, maybe we'll do another Frida. But we're definitely, I don't know what we're doing after this. Are we going straight to Iron Flame, or are we going to do a...
I'll do whatever. We haven't really decided.
Okay, well...
I'm open to it. I mean, if we should go straight to Iron Flame, we can.
Yeah.
If one person comments and say, do Iron Flame, we'll
do it.
If no one comments,
then we're going to do whatever the hell we want, as usual, on our own. Anyway, we do appreciate you for even just watching. So keep it up, please. Happy reading.